A recent video on the channel went through some of the overrated players of season 2024 according to Champion Data. We compared players' awards and general recognition of their performances in the season and compared it with Champion Data's player rating, which wasn't as generous. Today, we will do the opposite. So who are the players Champion Data rated higher than what most AFL fans would think? These ratings do combine the home and away and finals games. Patrick Dangerfield has been a superstar for well over a decade, but his role and time on ground has fallen since 2020. It has preserved him and kept him fresh when the season gets serious, and this was best seen in 2022. Despite having an average time on ground of just 70% and being subbed off a couple times early in games, Dangerfield was still the 36th highest rated player in the AFL. His player rating of 13.81 was the highest in his past 3 years and was better than his 2020 season, a year he made the All-Australian team. The impressive part of his year is that his 20.1 disposals per game was his lowest since 2011. His 2024 was the definition of impact over big stats. Out of all midfielders, Dangerfield ranked 23rd and was ahead of other on-ball guns such as Andrew Brayshaw, Jordan Dawson, Josh Dunkley and Connor Rozee. Despite having a lower on-average disposal count, Dangerfield's 6.4 score involvements per game was the second most he had put up since 2020, and his 10 contested possessions and 5.2 clearances on average are in the elite bracket for midfielders. Dangerfield's season proved that you don't need to get 30 disposals every game to be a significant force. It's what you do with the ball and how you win it that's important. Collingwood midfielder Jack Crisp sits in a similar category. We all know he is a good, consistent player, but Crisp's 2024 was his third highest rated season ever. 2.02 rating points off his career best year recorded in 2022. Early on, he played in defence, but from round 8 onwards, spent a majority of time on ball, and for the season, he attended 56% of Collingwood centre bounces. At the end of the year, he was classified as a midfielder, ranking 27th in the position group and ranking 42nd out of all players. He's such an all-round footballer that with his speed and endurance can fit any role. 7 times he had at least 15 disposals, 5 tackles and kicked a goal. In a patch of form from round 10 to 12, he also had at least 16 disposals, 1 goal and 10 tackles in those 3 straight games. His burst is his weapon, but his inside game went to a career high level. His 46% contested possession rate and 4.2 clearances per game were both the best of the 31-year-old's career. His most dominant individual moment had to be against Essendon when he kicked 3 goals in quick succession, and his total of 14 goals was only behind the 16 majors he kicked way back in 2015. It's hard to be a top 50 player in the AFL, and Crisp, who normally flies under the radar, achieved that in 2024. Now it's really hard to be a top 12 player, and that's what North Melbourne ruck Tristan Xerri was at the end of 2024. We all know he had a breakout season, but to be the 12th best player of the year is some effort. He was a major part of the All-Australian ruck debate, with Max Gawn being chosen in the end, and Xerri was just 1 player rating behind him. Rowan Marshall, Tom De Koning and Darcy Cameron had big years as their team's rucks, but Xerri beat all of them out by a significant 2 or more player rating points. It means Xerri, according to the rating system, was noticeably better than all other rucks besides Gawn. 34 hitouts, with 9 of them being 2 advantage per game is strong, but it's Xerri's physicality that stands out. His 7.5 tackles per game was the 3rd most out of anyone in the competition, which for a ruck is rarely ever seen. 12.6 contested possessions and 6.6 clearances per game are also on top out of all the rucks. 4 times in 2024, he had a quadruple double, at least 10 disposals, 10 tackles, 10 clearances and 10 hitouts in a game. Cherry had a superb season, but to be ranked 12th of all players is special. West Coast midfielder Elliot Yeo played 20 games for the Eagles, the first time he had played that many since 2019. It's fitting, his 2024 was also his best season in the past 5 years. He seemed to be over most of his injury concerns and finished the year 35th in the player ratings. Out of the top 40 rated players, Yeo did have the lowest time on ground as well, which makes his 22.5 disposals and 6.6 clearances per game look really good, considering most other midfielders high in the rating system do play roughly 85% of game time. Because West Coast lost so many games in 2024, and a lot of the attention went to the number 1 pick, Harley Reid, people did miss out on Yeo's impact. Overall, he came second in the Eagles' best and fairest, narrowly losing to Jeremy McGovern, and he took home his second Glendinning Allen medal for best on ground in the Derby, following his 26 disposal game against Fremantle in round 6. Does he have the athleticism he did during his peak All-Australian years? No, but Yeo still used his big frame and power well. 6 times he had at least 20 disposals, 6 clearances and a goal in a game, being West Coast's most consistent midfielder. 2024 wasn't quite a career best for Yeo, but it wasn't too far off his best years in 2018 and 2019, and proved Yeo can still be a difference maker when healthy. The 4th member of the dominant Sydney midfield of 2024 was James Rowbottom. Heaney, Warner and Goulden were the stars, but is it possible Rowbottom was the glue that held everything together? The 24-year-old had a career year and ended up as the 40th rated player by the end of the season. His defensive stuff was impressive as always. 7.8 tackles per game was second in the AFL, and his 27.8 pressure acts set a new career mark. His offensive game was much improved as well. 7 goals in total isn't bad, and 5.1 score involvements per game is good for a player whose role isn't primarily to get involved in scoring chains. Rowbottom is a player who helps balance out the frenetic and attacking play style of his fellow on-ballers, and to be as highly rated as he was, showed his 2024 season was even better than first thought.